Good morning, and welcome to First Unitarian Society of Madison. My name is Kelly Asbruth Jackson, and I am one of the ministers here. Today I am joined by the worship team of Drew Collins, Linda Warren, Daniel Carnes, and Stephen Gregorius. This morning we are also joined by a special guest, Rebecca Meier-Rao, the Executive Director of Worker Justice Wisconsin. The vision of FUS is growing souls, connecting with one another, and embodying our UU values in our lives, our community, and our world. We are so glad that you are with us virtually this morning. We hope you will be able to join us for our virtual coffee hour immediately following today's service. The information for joining can be found on the homepage of our website, fusmadison.org, as well as on the slide that will be seen again after the postlude. Our announcement slides will also be shown briefly after today's service, and we encourage you to take a moment and learn about upcoming programs and activities. I invite you now to join in a moment of silence to center yourselves and bring yourselves fully into this time as we join together once again in community. You work that you may keep pace with the earth and the soul of the earth. For to be idle is to become a stranger unto the seasons and to step out of life's procession that marches in majesty and proud submission towards the infinite. Always you have been told that work is a curse and labor a misfortune. But I say to you that when you work, you fulfill a part of earth's furthest dream, assigned to you when the dream was born. And in keeping yourself with labor, you are in truth loving life. And to love life through labor is to be intimate with life's inmost secret. And what is it to work with love? It is to weave the cloth with threads drawn from your heart, even as if your beloved were to wear that cloth. It is to build a house with affection, even as if your beloved were to dwell in that house. It is to sow seeds with tenderness and reap the harvest with joy, even as if your beloved were to eat the fruit. It is to charge all things you fashion with the breath of your own spirit, and to know that all the blessed dead are standing about you and watching. Work is love made visible. In recognition of Labor Day, we light this flame to honor all work, including the work of our hands and our backs, in gratitude for all the labors that support our world, and for all those who boldly continue the work of justice, equity, and peace.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Our opening hymn today is number 109, As We Come Marching, Marching. As we come marching, marching in the beauty of the day, a million darkened kitchens, 1,000 workshops gray, are touched with all the radiance that a sudden sun discloses. For the people hear us singing, bread and roses, bread and roses. As we come marching, marching, we battle too for men, for they are women's children, and we mother them again. Our lives shall not be sweated from birth until life closes. Hearts starve as well as bodies. Give us bread, but give us roses. As we come marching, marching, unnumbered women dead go crying through our singing their ancient song of bread. Small art and love and beauty, their drudging spirits new. Yes, it is bread we fight for, but we fight for roses too.
Farmer Brown has a problem. His cows like to type. All day long he hears click, clack, moo, click, clack, moo, clickety, clack, moo. At first, he couldn't believe his ears. Cows that type? Impossible. Click, clack, moo, click, clack, moo, clickety, clack, moo. Then he couldn't believe his eyes. The note on the barn door said, "Dear Farmer Brown, the barn is very cold at night. We'd like some electric blankets. Sincerely, the cows." It was bad enough the cows had found the old typewriter in the barn. Now they wanted electric blankets. "No way," said Farmer Brown. "No electric blankets." So the cows went on strike, and they left a note on the barn door. "Sorry, we're closed. No milk today." "No milk today?" cried Farmer Brown. In the background, he heard the cows busy at work. Click, clack, moo, click, clack, moo, clickety, clack, moo. The next day, he got another note. "Dear Farmer Brown, the hens are cold too. They'd like electric blankets. Sincerely, the cows." The cows were growing impatient with the farmer. They left a new note on the barn door. "Closed. No milk, no eggs." "No eggs?" cried Farmer Brown. In the background, he heard them. Click, clack, moo, click, clack, moo, clickety, clack, moo. Cows that type? Hens on strike? Who ever heard of such a thing? How can I run a farm with no milk and no eggs? Farmer Brown was furious. Farmer Brown got out his own typewriter. "Dear cows and hens, there will be no electric blankets. You are cows and hens. I demand milk and eggs. Sincerely, Farmer Brown." Duck was a neutral party, so he brought the ultimatum to the cows. The cows held an emergency meeting. All the animals gathered around the barn to snoop, but none of them could understand moo. All night long, Farmer Brown waited for an answer. Duck knocked on the door the next morning. He handed Farmer Brown a note. "Dear Farmer Brown, we will exchange the typewriter for electric blankets. Leave them outside the barn door, and we will send Duck over with the typewriter. Sincerely, the cows." He left the blankets next to the barn door and waited for Duck to come with the typewriter. The next morning, he got a note. "Dear Farmer Brown, the pond is quite boring. We'd like a diving board. Sincerely, the ducks." Click, clack, quack. Click, clack, quack. Clickety-clack, quack. I invite you into this time of giving and receiving, where we give freely and generously to this offering which sustains and strengthens our community, a community of memory, hope, faith, and love. This week, our outreach offering will be shared with Worker Justice Wisconsin, an organizing working group to build coalitions of faith and labor to support workers experiencing wage theft, discrimination, unsafe working conditions, and other workplace problems. You will see on your screen that you can donate directly from our website, fusmadison.org. You will also see our text to give information there as well. We thank you for your generosity and your faith in this life we create together.
Hello and happy Labor Day. My name is Rebecca Meier-Rao. I'm the Executive Director of Worker Justice Wisconsin, which is a local interfaith nonprofit that advances justice in our community by building collective worker power together with faith and labor allies. We partner primarily with low-wage and immigrant workers because they are among the most exploited in our community. And we empower individuals to fight workplace injustice through education, community building, and collective actions. The centerpiece of Worker Justice Wisconsin is our Worker Center, where non-unionized workers come when they face things like wage theft and discrimination at work. To give you a sense of what we do at the center, last year, workers opened 210 new cases, which was nearly double the year before due to the pandemic. Of those 210 new cases, 44% dealt with wage theft, 19% dealt exclusively with COVID-19. I say exclusively because most of these cases had something to do with COVID-19. 18% dealt with discrimination, 9% with health and safety, and 8% with workers' compensation injury. In 2020, we assisted workers in recovering a total of $141,040 in legally owed but unpaid wages. Of those who opened cases with us last year, 90% were people of color, 88% were Latinx, 85% were immigrants, and most worked minimum wage jobs. As per usual, the vast majority of these workers resided in Dane County. I'm happy to celebrate worker justice with you today and throughout the month of September as you participate in Labor in the Pulpits on the Bima in the Mimbar, this 2021 program. This year, we lift up the dignity of work as the COVID-19 pandemic exposes deep socioeconomic divisions that run along racial, ethnic, and gender lines. I am especially mindful of the Black and Latinx workers who have experienced the highest unemployment rates and the greatest level of COVID exposure during this pandemic. I am immensely humbled by healthcare workers, along with many support and service staff in hospitals and clinics who have done everything they can to keep us as healthy as possible. And I am ever mindful of the thousands of immigrants who, despite sacrificing their physical and mental well-being to work in unsafe conditions, despite being considered essential workers, and despite faithfully paying their taxes for years, have received absolutely no unemployment insurance, benefits, or stimulus monies during the entirety of this pandemic. We celebrate Labor Day during what has been a difficult time for workers. But it is also a hopeful time when we have seen more workers come together for collective actions and when the public conversation for living wages has gained some traction. Labor in the Pulpits on the Bima in the Mimbar gives us the opportunity to commit ourselves anew as people of faith who uphold the dignity of every person, to improving jobs so that workers have wages, benefits, and work hours that allow all of us to be self-sufficient and live lives of wholeness. In preparation for this program, I read the Venerable Seven Ross's discourse on wage theft, where he quotes Yasutani Roshi, a well-known Japanese Zen master, as saying, "The fundamental problem for all humanity is that we believe that you believe that you are there and I am here. We believe we are separate, and as such, we feel scarcity and inflict abuses on each other without realizing that we are in this together. By abusing the other or even ignoring the plight of the other, we are in fact hurting ourselves." Roshi's statement reminds me of spiritual teacher Cynthia Bourgeau's explanation of Jesus' teaching to love your neighbor as yourself. She says that for as much as people repeat these words, they almost always hear them wrong. She writes, "We hear, love your neighbor as much as yourself. If you listen closely to Jesus' teaching, however, there is no as much as in there. It's just love your neighbor as yourself, as a continuation of your own being. It's a complete seeing that your neighbor is you. There are not two individuals out there, one seeking to better herself at the price of the other, or to extend charity to the other. There are simply two cells of the one great life. The 2nd century sage, Rabbi Akiba, is quoted as saying something very similar. Love your neighbor as yourself. This is a general principle of the Torah. Coming from 3 religious traditions, Buddhist, Christian, and Jewish, the message is clear. We are part of the same organic whole, and as such, when one of us hurts, we all hurt. And when one of us thrives, we all thrive. Interestingly, it was this sense of interconnectivity that led me to study liberation theology, to teach religious studies for 10 years, and now to lead Worker Justice Wisconsin. I feel the connection to every worker in our community in my bones, especially when some of us are treated as expendable, perhaps because of our immigration status, or our race, or our gender. When one of us does not get paid for our hard work at the restaurant, or at the construction site, or cleaning someone's house, which I've seen a lot this year, it hurts. And when workers learn about their rights, come together to develop fair working conditions, for example, in the worker-led cleaning cooperative that was recently incubated at our center, I can feel a sense of thriving arise in our community. I want to invite all of you who clearly uphold the dignity of human beings and all of creation in so many ways, to do yet one more thing and join our workers as they collectively stand up for justice. Worker Justice Wisconsin has existed, though under different names, for around 20 years, and for most of this time, we have been primarily a service organization. That is, when workers come to the center, we open an individual case and help them file the appropriate government documents and/or refer them to a lawyer. But now, we are making a conscious shift toward collective worker organizing. Why? Because it has become utterly apparent, particularly during the pandemic when existing problems have been exacerbated, that when workers deal with workplace grievances individually, they have very little power. Even if they succeed in their individual discrimination case or in recovering stolen wages, the process can take a long time and it does not stop the problem from happening again. But when workers come together and act collectively, we have the power to hold employers accountable and even change public policies. Simply put, we have more courage when we act together. Moreover, the more workers join in, the more likely the employer will have to listen, and then the less likely they will be able to retaliate. Even more to the point, I would say that when we act together, we are more truly embodying our interconnectivity. And you, as people of faith, have a vital role to play as workers come together to request things like living wages, adequate health care, and safe working conditions. This is especially true if workers are used to functioning as invisible due to their immigration status. If you can sign their petitions or even stand shoulder to shoulder with workers when they collectively organize in a workplace, you help lend moral legitimacy to their campaigns. Workers need the presence of faith leaders to say when their boss steals from them or discriminates against them that this is unjust. Through your vocal and public support of worker-led actions, You help workers gain the courage needed to stand up to far more powerful employers who do not understand, and we hope that through this process can become capable of understanding that we are in this together. And believe it or not, by your participation, you make it much more difficult for an employer to retaliate. No one wants to be a bad guy in public. So I invite you to stand together with workers, and if you are so compelled, to have your faith community sign Worker Justice Wisconsin's Faith and Labor Statement. The statement reads as follows. As people of faith, we uphold the sacred and intrinsic dignity of every person. We believe that work should be a vehicle for discovering a sense of purpose and fulfillment, but that too often it is a means for abuse. We recognize that in today's climate, individual workers are at the mercy of more powerful employers. And we commit to joining forces with workers when they collectively summon the courage to demand fair and just working conditions. Finally, drawing on our sacred traditions, we stand together as communities of faith to advance the following: a just and living wage for all, paid sick and family leave, workplaces free from all forms of discrimination and harassment, opportunities for collective organizing without fear of retaliation, and finally, a healthy work-life balance for all people regardless of race, gender, national origin, immigration status, or creed. Thank you for all you do to make love palpable in this world and for your commitment to worker justice. You are deeply appreciated.
Each week, we gather with hearts that are heavy with sorrow and hearts that are filled with love. We share these here in community, knowing we are held in love. This week, we light a candle of grief and empathy for the people of Louisiana and Mississippi, those left homeless or without power by Hurricane Ida, and for those in New Jersey, New York, and Pennsylvania, washed out by flooding in the path of the storm. We hold in our hearts those who have lost so much, those who have lost everything, and those who have lost their lives. May the powerful awaken to the dangers of a warming planet and be moved. We also light a candle of joy this week. For those among us and among our neighbors and friends who will celebrate a new year this Monday at sundown in the Jewish festival of Rosh Hashanah. May the year ahead be a sweet one, and may your names be inscribed for a blessing in the book of life. We light as well a candle of righteous anger as the fundamental right of bodily autonomy and control over one's own health, that is, the right to an abortion, has been taken away in the state of Texas. Bless all those with the courage and tenacity to resist such an unjust law. And may the full dignity and personhood of women and of everyone with a uterus finally be established in our days. We light one final candle now for all of those joys and sorrows that live within the sanctuaries of our hearts. May they each be held gently in gratitude, in love, and in hope.
There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding all. We rest in this love. Our closing hymn today is number 157, Step by Step, the Longest March. Step by step, the longest march can be won. Many stones can form an arch, singly none. And by union, what we will can be accomplished still. Drops of water turn a mill, singly none. Let's sing that again. Step by step, the longest march can be won. Many stones can form an arch, singly none. And by union, what we will can be accomplished still. Drops of water turn a mill, singly none.
these words of benediction from W.E.B. Du Bois. Now is the accepted time, not tomorrow, not some more convenient season. It is today that our best work can be done, and not some future day or future year. It is today that we fit ourselves for the greater usefulness of tomorrow. Today is the seed time. Now are the hours of work. And tomorrow comes the harvest and the playtime.